All right, so episodes 20 and 21, I believe. Yeah. So, or of Kamen Rider Zeztz. So, very, very interesting for uh, these two episodes. So basically, the first part has to do with Baku being in and Nem being in a dream where, um, basically, as revealed in the next episode, I believe, the dream is influenced by a bunch of kids, but so far only two in this part, playing a game called Block Create, which basically, as far as I can tell, how it's described in the episode, which it is the second episode, I had to pause the recording and check. Um, they it's basically described as a mix between elements of Minecraft and either Dragon Quest or older Final Fantasies, with the whole like medieval European setting and everything. And with this, uh, basically, uh, Baku eventually finds out that it is not only one but um, multiple kids that are dreaming about this whole thing being interconnected and everything. Less than a dozen. Can't remember exactly how much. Probably around or almost 10. But yeah. And throughout the first episode, or maybe it's the second episode. Either way, throughout these two episodes, they find out that the kids are all drawing these pictures of what is a nightmare in the dream, but it's not the nightmare that Baku encountered. As the nightmares that Baku has been encountering are just these little kind of wimpy versions, or kind of wimpy like nightmares that don't really know much, and they kind of seem very simplistic. And as we find out, it's because they are the main nightmare split up into different parts of itself. And it has used those parts of itself to bring all of the kids who are dreaming to the castle that it occupies. So, yeah. And Baku and Nem are tasked with playing along in the dream and bringing two of the kids to the castle to defeat the main bad guy. Yeah, kind of that whole trope in these kinds of games. So, yeah. To which I just need to comment on this. So they use a mix of green screen and forest, uh, like places that they shoot at, forest like somewhere outside of Tokyo, and the parts where it is set or shot on like the like random woods that they shot at for this episode look good because of the fact that it's all real and everything, and it's a real location and everything. However, the stuff shot on the green screen is not great, mainly because like you can tell it's shot on green screen. The rendering is decent, but because the series uses Unreal Engine for the CGI they used in it for the green screening and everything, it definitely looks fake. Now, it's not necessarily too bad because they don't use it in the real life stuff, and they just use it in the dream stuff. So I don't know. It's not entirely bad, but like, um, I don't know. They could have just had more realistic textures and everything. There's even shots where I remember this one shot. It's a close up of Nem and just looking at her face, and or maybe not a close up shot, but like yeah, just a shot where she's in frame. And they specifically made the background, which is just a bunch of trees, um, like they made the background super blurry, so you couldn't really see any fine detail or anything. I I'm assuming that they did that specifically so that uh you couldn't really see too much detail on it and see that it's fake, but at the same time, like the rest of it's fake where they shoot around the castle, and then also the earlier parts when they're in the village and everything before they set out on their quest and everything. It's really not great. And then later on, I believe they shoot on an actual set for the inside of the castle. And it's just a really weird mixture of these things. I do understand that maybe they were strapped for time and they didn't want to exactly like recreate a medieval like village or whatever for shooting these scenes. And it's probably much faster and cheaper to do these things on a green screen with CGI. But it just looks really weird and kind of disconnected from it. And in the earliest scenes with the old man and the other kids at the village, on the old man specifically, you can see the reflection of the green on his face from when they shot it. They did not properly color correct the guy's skin to be more like his natural skin tone. So, yeah, that's kind of one of the things you have to look out for when shooting on a green or blue screen, is that kind of stuff. And it mainly has to do, I think, with how the lighting was when they shot those scenes. But yeah, it's just one of those things where maybe they could have done more realistic texturing or whatever. At the same time, I know that they probably have deadlines to meet in terms of getting the episodes ready to air, but still, especially when they had to get the episodes to like Shout Factory and I think a few other companies to be able to subtitle and release the episodes on time. So yeah, but they shoot these episodes like several months in advance, so it's really, really odd, or at least like a couple months in advance. So yeah, and it just stands out as well when like they shot on a location in a forest for a bunch of the other shots, and then they used a real set for the medieval castle. It's just weird. Um, so yeah. Um, so I just needed to get that out of the way because yeah. So in terms of the video game that they're playing, it turns out that Nem, her likeness and pictures and everything, because she is a real life like idol and everything and model and whatever, her likeness is being used to sell the game. To which I also have to think they have they have like her voice coming on an announcement for an ad for it, and like I have to wonder if they're using like obviously not in the show itself, but like in universe, if they're using like an AI voice recreation of her to sell the thing, to specifically have like her saying stuff related to the game. That's the only thing I can really think of, unless if they're using like a voice actress that can sound just like her in universe. I don't know. Um, it would be interesting if that would be the case, and we find that out later. But, eh. Um, so yeah. So we have a couple instances in these episodes of Baku waking up early because the kids that are a part of the dream wake up early because they get too scared of the nightmare that they're having, obviously, and that will happen, um, even if it's a little too early in the morning. Plus, a couple instances of Baku falling asleep early to be part of the dreams again. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting there. It seems like maybe he's like a little bit psychically connected to these kids when they are going to sleep. Because like the second time it happens, his body specifically like gets really, really tired. So that's just what I'm assuming happened. He chalks it up to the fact that he woke up early, so or woke up really early, so it could be that as well. Just something that I thought I'd note. So yeah, so then we get a couple more things in this episode as well, which is really interesting. So we pick up from the last episode where code number 3 was handing Six slash Kureha a briefcase that has her driver in it. I think that's what it's called. The Lord Head? No. Sorry, I'm reading the wiki. Lord Invoker. Yeah, the Lord Invoker. And yeah, so she can continue her operations with code and everything, and also gives her back her ring with the number 6 on it. So, yeah. But not only that, we get introduced to code number 5. We don't know his real name yet. But he is a guy with a lot of like personality and bombast to him. So that's just a very interesting mix into that, because Baku tries to stay calm and collected. Kureha definitely is more calm and collected when she's on a mission. And then this guy, he's kind of an idiot, I'm not going to lie, and really, really headstrong, because he keeps saying he doesn't stop until his target is dead. So yeah, they are both hunting down Nox as he tries to stalk Baku on his mission and everything. And it's very interesting. So Kureha tags him with a tracking device that allows her to track him in the dream world and everything. Obviously, it wouldn't stick when he goes back to the real world when he wakes up. So, yeah, they eventually try to get Baku to come with them to help confront Nox and everything. But Baku, he says that's their mission to confront Nox, whereas his mission is to protect the kids. And he just basically leaves them to it as he tries to complete his mission and everything, because he has to follow where the nightmares are going, and there's no sense in all of them going at once to confront Nox when there's also a different conflict going on with the nightmare. It's just one of those things where, like, yeah, he could help them out, but he also has his own shit to do that he was already doing. So, yeah, and honestly, the taking care of the nightmare stuff is a bit more important, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah. So they go to fight Nox, and I really love the action with these two fighting Nox, because a lot of the choreography is very good. At the start, when they start fighting Nox, I think the first time, or just 5 actually, 5 manages to steal Nox's sword from him and starts using it to fight Nox with it and just like beat him down and everything. And it's actually just really, really funny because like the sword obviously isn't like sentient or anything, or doesn't have like an AI programming, so it works for him, and he can use it with his capsums to power it up and try to, fight or try to beat Nox with it. And it's just really, really funny. And Nox doesn't manage to get it back for a bit, and that's just something that's really, really clever. I did not expect that. That's just something I'm assuming it's probably been done in other shows like this, or other Kamen Rider shows maybe every so often, but like didn't see that, and that's just really, really good. And then for the second fight, I believe when both of them fight Nox, Nox tries to use his like shadow sneaking powers to get the jump on them. Then 5 uses, I believe, a like electric power to uh to stun Nox for a second and grabs onto him. And uh why did I am bad with names. Kureha, she takes her gun and like powers it up with her capsum and fires on Nox, and it weakens him a lot. Like you can see when he like powers down that he is severely wounded in the dream because of it, as is Five. Uh, Five said he basically has Nox in a chokehold, and or maybe not a chokehold, but like he has him like dead to rights, basically, just in his arms. And he says he's willing to die to take Nox down. Um, and that part gave me like flashbacks to when Goku did the same thing during the fight with Raditz, where he has Raditz in the full Nelson, and Piccolo charges up his special beam cannon to kill them both to take down Raditz. And to me, that's just very interesting. And I wonder if that was maybe a little bit on purpose, if that was an intended parallel. But if not, that's also fine. But it's just interesting. That's just what it reminded me of. So, yeah. And unfortunately, they almost completely defeat Nox because they have him dead to rights, basically. He can't really get away because he's too wounded. And one of them is still good to go on fighting him. But, yeah. So, what happens with Baku and Nem is that they get the two kids to the castle to try to confront the bad guy of the dream. But it turns out, I think I may have said this beforehand, because there are multiple kids connected to the dream that are all dreaming at once, the nightmare, because he split himself into a bunch of like lesser nightmares, gets all the remaining kids to the castle. They all combine back together even after Baku takes down several of them, and with his lightning powers, and forms into the nightmare that the kids drew in their art in school. And yeah, so then the nightmare uses like energy powers to hold Baku and Nem back, and basically opens up a door similar to what happened with Fujimi back in episode 3, I believe, where he basically absorbs all of them, and as a result, he's able to fuse all the kids' bodies or energies or whatever together to be able to like assimilate all of them together and break into the real world. And similar to episode 3, the nightmare sends out the like evil energy, and it starts affecting everybody. So yeah, and I was actually contemplating on rewatching the episodes in a week, and then recording this podcast then to when that happens, because it seems to be another 3-parter, but I just thought fuck it. It causes, or the like evil energy that's pouring over everybody starts to cause all the people that we see to fall asleep and fall to the ground unconscious and everything. And the lady, she says that they'll soon have a free world at last. Obviously, and basically that they're gonna take down the order, I guess the world order that the code had established or something. I can't remember the exact line, but it's basically that. Um, so we have that coming next, and the next episode preview shows basically that they're gonna confront the nightmare and everything and take it down. So that'll be fun to watch, especially since it's like the second time Buck will have to use his powers in the real world. We also see code number 3 say mission failed, code red. Um, Something else, basically, just we have an emergency here, something like that, to code. And I imagine Baku is going to be briefed on what's happening by 3, and he's going to be drafted to take down the Nightmare, but also team up with 5 and 6 at the very least, maybe 3 as well. So yeah, maybe some other agents. I don't know. Probably just those 4 for now, because I think that that's enough. Probably also gonna fight Nox in the real world, I imagine. And gonna be very interesting. Gotta be honest, I didn't expect the show to what I assume is gonna be what I assume is the halfway point. Because usually these shows have between like 45 and 50 episodes. Um, like unless if you're like Kamen Rider Decade, um, to like do this soon. But I'm not sad that that they are doing that. I think that is a really interesting way to step up the stakes and everything, and show like further rising action in the overarching plot and everything. So yeah, so that's actually really cool, that they're doing this, and I can't wait to see what they do next. I imagine the next episode is probably just going to be a one-off. I can't imagine it's going to be 2. So yeah, so this may be, actually I may just do a podcast episode on that, depending on if it leaves off on a cliffhanger or not, and then pick up with the next 2 episodes after that. It's just interesting to see. So yeah, so there's good episodes, I think. First episode doesn't have too much going on, and the second episode pretty much handles all of the plot stuff. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of how most of these episodes have been going so far since they switched to the 2-part format after the first 3. So yeah, not that it's necessarily bad, but it seems like both episodes are written as like one script, and then they cut it in half at a halfway point. So yeah, and a logical endpoint to keep you coming back. So yeah. So yeah, not much else to say, guys. Good episodes. Recommend watching. So yeah. So yeah, not much else to say. So links in the description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want. And I'll see you guys in the next one.